In 2023, 1 out of every 7 Americans was the victim of identity theft. That's mind-blowing. It's going to get worse in 2024 via the NPD leak. This is Judah Z, founding partner, PandA Law Firm, Las Vegas law firm, dealing with debt relief, consumer protection. If you're not in Nevada and you want more information on this subject or any subject that we talk about, please contact a local attorney in your city or town. The NPD leak is a national public data leak. Happened in 2024, over 2.9 billion pieces of information were leaked. This is people's names, their social security numbers, their addresses, their birth dates. There's a good chance that your information was leaked during this. Okay, so this is important information. These kinds of things, these leaks happen all the time. You're not always aware of them, but we're going to talk about what happens, how it could impact you, and how you can protect yourself. So we're talking specifically about the National Public Data Information Leak, right? But understand, like we talked about, this happens all the time. This was just the biggest one that we've seen so far that's been reported. NPD helps data collection services collect information, background check companies, right? So they do this for many background check companies, whether you're getting a lease, any kind of company that is going to collect your information, they get it from NPD. So your information was probably included in this. That's what we're talking about, this NPD organization, which you probably never heard of, but are probably impacted by. So these things kind of happen all the time, right? But what happened allegedly in this NPD data leak? Well, allegedly, they had published their own passwords, right? So they put them out there for the world to see. Someone found them, used those passwords to access their information. Also, allegedly, they stored this information in a completely unencrypted way, so is easily accessible. Now, it's reported that this data leak happened in 2023. We didn't actually start to hear about it until April of 2024, and we didn't understand the full extent of it until just this past July 2024. But there's millions of people that are affected by this. There's a lot of data out there that's been leaked. So this is a critical data leak, more so than we've seen before in the past. How do you check to see if you've been impacted by this NPD leak? Well, we're gonna post some websites on this video where you can check to see. You're gonna have to give your name, state of residence, birth date, but that will tell you whether you've been impacted, which is critical for you to know. But it's nearly 3 billion records, as we talked about, so you're probably in there, I'm probably in there, everyone that you know is probably in there, so it's pretty egregious. Go check, be informed. Like I said, we're gonna be listing the 2 correct links for you to see if you're part of that breach. You need to be wary about following links to try to get to that information. Only use the ones we're giving you. You might find yourself in a hairier situation going down a rabbit hole if you're hitting other links to try to find those. So use the 2 that we're providing in this video. That will give you accurate and safe information. So let's say that you do find yourself part of that NPD leak. Well, what should you do? Well, one option is to freeze your credit. Right? So you can contact the credit bureaus, freeze the credit. In fact, we'll put a link in here where you can contact all 3 major credit bureaus to freeze your credit. And essentially what that's going to do is it's going to stop anyone from accessing your credit, using your credit, or getting information about your credit. So if you were part of that data breach and there are bad actors out there trying to use your credit based upon the information they gathered, that freeze will stop that. And you can freeze the credit either via the internet, phone call, or mail. These are all ways that you can access these credit bureaus to freeze the credit while we determine who was hit and what's the extent of this data breach to you and to all our other fellow Americans. Now that's the free option, how to protect yourself. There's other paid options too, right? There's LifeLock, Experian Credit Works, Discover has something. These credit protection services are pretty widespread right now. You'll have to pay for them a lot of times, but they're out there and you can use those. You can also find this with credit cards that you already have. So for instance, Discover, I know already provides this service. I have a Discover card. Amex might provide this, Chase might provide this. So also check with your credit card company to see if they provide this credit protection service free of charge. Now, why would you want to pay for something that you can get for free? Well, there might be additional insurance with these paid services, right? So if there's an actual loss, they'll reimburse you up to a certain extent, or they'll do investigations up to a certain extent, what you might not get for the free service. And although they're paid services, they're not terribly expensive. Think maybe $10 to $20 a month kind of thing. You just have to decide if you have enough assets out there or concern out there where you want to pay for this additional insurance, right? Some people believe in insurance, some people don't. If you do a credit freeze, it stops new credit from being taken out of your name. If you already have existing credit, those creditors that you already have a relationship with can still access your credit. Inquiries, new credit requests, things like that, that's what the freeze is going to stop. Now, if you want to apply for new credit, you need to unfreeze the account, right? You need to unfreeze that freeze on the credit bureaus, and it'll take a certain amount of time for that freeze to thaw, but at that point you can apply for new credit. And you might need to do that, might need to get new credit if you're getting your credit pulled for a cell phone, for a lease, things like that. There are certain practical realities that we just need to have access to our credit for. So I want you to understand that you can freeze the credit, you can unfreeze the credit, you can freeze it again after that. It's an option for you, but these are steps that you would need to take to either protect yourself, but then also open yourself up again if you need to get legitimate credit. That time frame for the freeze to thaw, I mean, it can happen pretty quickly via internet or phone call. If it's through regular mail, it'll probably take at least 3 days. So just understand that timing if you want to unfreeze and thaw that credit freeze. If you're finding some value in what we're talking about right now, please like, comment, subscribe. If you comment and you have a question, we'll do our best to answer it in that public forum. If you have a more private conversation that you want to have, you can email us at questions@pandalawfirm.com and we'll do our best to answer it there as well. So sometimes data leaks like this make it known to us or refreshes our memory that we need to be checking our credit pretty regularly. Now, if you have a paid for service, that we had talked about before, they're gonna let you know if something's going on with your credit, if there's been credit pulls that you didn't authorize, if there's something kind of wonky or fishy going on, you'll get an email or a text. So those are some additional benefits that these paid for services can accomplish. But even if you don't have a paid for service, it's always good to check your credit at least once a year with all 3 major credit bureaus. Now you can do this through the government website, annualcreditreport.com. When you go to annualcreditreport.com, you'll answer some identity verification questions. They'll give you links to each of the 3 major credit bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. Pull all 3 because sometimes they have different information on them. And I would tell you to do this once a year at the same time. So maybe on your birthday each year, or when you file your taxes each year, pull it once a year for free. That way you can see if there's anything going on that could negatively impact you and your credit. Now, we had also talked about, when we were talking about credit monitoring, that you might have credit cards that might offer this service for free. Take them up on it. It doesn't hurt for you to have more than one credit monitoring service. Use as many as you can. You'll also perhaps sometimes get this offer if there's a data leak. I myself have gotten notices, hey Judah, we had a data leak here, we had a data leak there. We're gonna offer you 1 year of free credit monitoring. Take advantage of it. It's an additional protection. You don't have to pay for it. And as these data leaks happen, you'll get it more and more, meaning you might just get your free credit monitoring, credit protection for the rest of your life. Hopefully they'll resolve these kind of issues. But as long as they're offering this free service, take advantage of it. It doesn't hurt you to get more than one. Now, what might be some red flags that perhaps your credit has been impacted or someone is accessing it when they shouldn't? Number 1, you have new accounts opening up that you didn't apply for, new phones opening up that you didn't apply for. 2, you're getting collection calls on accounts that collectors say are yours, but you didn't know about them. You may get mail from a bank that you never opened up an account with, right? Or a credit card company that you never opened an account with. Those are red flags. Bills for items that you did not buy. So if you look at your credit card bill and you see a TV purchase, but you didn't buy a TV, right? That's a red flag that perhaps you've been hacked. Maybe you're getting denials from loan applications. So maybe you're applying for a loan and they're saying, hey, look, we can't qualify you based upon this credit, or maybe you have too many inquiries in the past several months, but you know you didn't do that. That's a good indication that perhaps you've been hacked. Your mail stops coming in or is missing from your mailbox. If you're not getting the same amount of mail you did before, perhaps your mail has been redirected to a different address, and now that hacker is essentially taken over your identity and is getting your mail and is acting like they're you, right? So these things, either individually or any combination of, are red flags that perhaps you've been hacked and you need to take steps. So what are your rights? Let's say that you've been part of this leak. What are your rights? Well, there's definitely rights under the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, that says inaccurate information cannot be put onto your credit report. So if there's inaccurate information by this leak or this hack, right? You want to contact the credit bureaus, send dispute letters, and have the information fixed. Credit bureaus do not fix the credit within 30 days of a valid dispute letter. Then that sets them up for an FCRA lawsuit, Fair Credit Reporting Act lawsuit, that can get you out of the debt and also get you monetary damages, sometimes up into the 7 figures. Now, what makes a valid dispute letter is something that you need to talk to a lawyer about. What gives you the rights under the FCRA is something you need to talk to a lawyer about. And like many consumer protection lawsuits, the lawyer's gonna get paid their fees from the offending party, so from the credit bureau. So you don't have to worry about coming out of pocket to talk to a lawyer or filing a lawsuit. Feel free, I encourage you, if you see any of this stuff going on, if you think you've been a victim of this, contact a local consumer protection attorney like PandA Law, and we can help resolve this issue for you. Now also, there might be class action lawsuits that come into play. Here, in this case, with the data leak, there is going to be lawyers putting together class action lawsuits to sue NPD for these perhaps egregious allegations, right? That they publish their passwords, that they put all this information in an unencrypted kind of way, right? That could lead to liability. So you might start getting notices in the mail that you're part of a class action. You need to decide whether you want to opt into that class action or not to try to get a portion of that. I will say to you that most of the time, the parties that do the best in class actions are the lawyers. You know, the actual class action members, unless you're the lead class action member, normally doesn't get paid a big amount of money, but it might be worth your time. So what are the other side effects of this data breach like the NPD data breach? Well, number one, you're going to get solicitations from people that want to give you services to protect yourself. So we need to be aware, right? There's all kinds of bad actors out there. So you want to avoid scams or promises that someone can remove your information from the dark web. That can't happen. You also want to be vigilant about confirming who you're talking to. So if someone has your information, they might pose as the bank and want to get more information from you. So you want to be careful about when you get a call, when you get an email, that you're not getting spoofed, right? That this is actually who you're talking to. So if you get a call from ABC Bank, say, okay, I'll call you back. Look up ABC's bank's information on the internet, then give them a call back. Don't just trust who you're talking to, because they can take these numbers and make it appear like their number is from the bank as well. So you always want to say, look, I'll call you back, bank. Look up their number on the internet, give them a call. That way you can rest assured that you're actually talking to a legitimate financial institution. If anyone wants you to not talk to anyone about this, right? Even above and beyond, right? The Nigerian prince, which we're all familiar with, right? If someone doesn't want you to talk to your wife or talk to your lawyer about what you're talking about, big red flag. If they want you to pay in any kind of form of gift card, big red flag. Once you make this payment, you cannot get these monies back. So it's way better to do your due diligence before you remit any money or any kind of payment, because you're not going to get it back afterwards. So here's some key points to remember here. Number one, with this NPD leak, over 3 billion pieces of information out there in the public. If you have been affected, you can freeze your credit report to stop anyone from accessing it. You need to contact your credit bureaus at least once a year from annualcreditreport.com to see if anyone is putting any inaccurate information on your credit report or using your credit. You can pay for these services to monitor your credit. A lot of the credit cards that you already have might provide this service for free. If you have been a victim, we can exercise rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the FCRA, to get your credit fixed and or to get you monetary damages perhaps. There might be a class action lawsuit against NPD coming up. So, be aware of that if you get a mailing. If you're getting contacted from a financial institution or anyone trying to get additional information from you, do not talk to them. Find their information on the internet, give them a call back so you can rest assured that that's who you're talking to. If anyone's asking you for information on the phone, don't give it to them. If you're getting people asking you for money or payment via gift card, or don't want you to talk to your friends or family about this conversation you're having, these are probably good indications that you might be getting scammed. These are all things that we need to be aware of and vigilant now because of this NPD hack, but also into the future because this isn't going anywhere. If you found this information helpful, if you feel like it protected you and gave you some insight, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. We'd love to have some more interaction with you. If you comment, we'll do our best to answer. If you have a situation that you want to talk privately about, please email us at questions@pandalawfirm.com. This is Judah Z with PandA Law. Thank you for your time.